Welcome everyone to the PYRESWAP show. How is everyone today? These particular computers are, I guess, getting force upgraded to Windows 11 or something, because that's a priority right now. And anyways, for those of you guys tuning in, I really appreciate you guys doing this. I was just talking about the writing process, and to be honest, there isn't much for us to talk about today other than saying work is continuing, and I'm trying to be as close as possible to having like a fucking complete 4-act draft, possibly done within 24 hours from now. Now that doesn't mean that the project is complete, because we still have to do visuals for that 4-act draft, which shouldn't take fucking forever. But I'm really excited to finally see this fruition, because I can now say that I wrote a fucking novella. And anyways, yeah, like the amount of depth, and I guess you could say the amount of what we've done to make this particular content experience maximally valuable, not just to you guys watching me now, but the people who haven't even heard of this project yet. I definitely know we're not going to underwhelm there. But yeah, I guess I'm just checking in to show you guys that we are continuing to work, and that yeah. I hope you guys are having fun. Let's see. Bitcoin still works. Ethereum still works. Today's a fear day. Are you guys okay? Yeah. Do you guys feel okay? Can you guys hear me in general chat too? All right, fantastic. Abolito, how are you doing? All right, phenomenal. Okay, fantastic. Well, yeah. Work is continuing. Like, a lot of work got done that was really like the, I guess, final pieces needed for the plot, and the rest, I think, is actually the fact that we have like 5. Let me think. Okay, this is a little bit weird, but I'll at least draw this out, because I think you guys always like a visual. I think Act 1 has like 9 scenes. And I think Act 2 this would also be like 5 to 9. And then Act 3 would be the exact same thing. Act 4 has like 16 scenes, which, just to be clear, possibly even more. But I believe now we are, I guess what you could say is like act complete for the purpose of building a plot structure that works. Yeah. Anyways, I think this is literally like the entire topic now. Learn PYRESWAP, whichever name we go use it by, is the bottlenecking component in the rest of this. But I think what I saw Electronic saying before, I briefly read this chat, was about like a large Twitter influencer, and I want to have a conceptual. I want to touch on that concept. Having like a large retweet or like a large thing like that isn't actually what we're trying to build, because you can already make this go to the moon from having like a small amount of people, like a few hundred people, throwing $5 at it. And I know in your mind you think I just said we only need $500 for it to go to the moon. No. We need a frequency of small transactions that cause everybody else who's still holding dry powder to begin competing for the bottom. Does that make sense? Like, we're not trying to get an explosion. We're trying to build the prerequisite for an explosion. Because if you just build the prerequisite of an explosion and just keep building that, it explodes. Does that make sense? There's a lot more moving pieces to this idea of like, oh, we have this one large event, this will cause another large event. And this type of like single domino thinking is is not it at all. I'm going to keep going back to this concept, which is called nucleation theory. Do you guys know about nucleation theory? Which I've talked about this a bunch of times, but if you remember that boiling water, does that make sense? If you have like one large chunk of money, meaning like one large bubble, come up off the inner surface of the pot, like you're not boiling the water, you're just splashing water all over the place. Like that would cause like a pump and dump, so to speak. Like we want to have like a whole bunch of small bubbles to begin catalyzing off each other. Otherwise we don't get an exponent. I think you guys think like a large linear number and an exponent is the same thing. But no, we want like something that creates, you guys don't know what I'm fucking talking about. Okay, well, I'm just going to keep building like an actual marketing funnel then, because I think maybe you guys at least understand what that is from your experience with the internet. Like again, the idea that like a large domino would cause this and cause that, I don't think you guys have maybe scrutinized those events enough, like actually gone on the chart and seen like every single thing that happened. Because like you can use sites like BigQuery that'll actually give you, well, I mean, at least it used to be. BigQuery changed, but like you could actually see, okay, this amount of actors was doing this. This amount of actors was doing that, right? And then like people will get into that point where there's like larger players controlling the chart and like the smaller ones are watching, but like we're not trying to have that. Like we're trying to have like a whole bunch of smaller players buying the token because they're type 2 investors, they're type 2 users or type 1 users. Does that make sense? And we don't need a meme coin influencer to help us, because if her audience, like, is she going to be able to like drive traffic to learnpyreswap.com? Because if not, like all we're gonna do is have type 3 investors, which are the same ones that caused the price to crash after Genesis, right? So like I really want you guys to understand that like your belief that type 3 users are beneficial, you need to have type 1 and type 2, or the type 3 ones don't stick at all. Yeah, like you need to have type 1 and type 2. Yeah. By the way, I heard a stat recently. There has been over 1.7 million meme coins launched. Over 1.7 million, but only like 100, quote unquote, like have lasted longer than like 2 weeks or a month or something like that. Yeah. So, you know, I was just thinking about that with the fact that I end up getting painted into the position of having to be the guy that defends tomb forks and their feasibility, you know, with 500 or 600 tomb forks against, you know, 1.7 million meme coins. But anyways, I want you guys to understand that, like, instead of thinking about the explosion, instead of thinking about the car going 200 miles an hour, think about putting gas in its tank. Like, if we're not gonna put gas in its tank, like, you don't need somebody to like push the car very hard, because it's not gonna. I don't know if you guys understand this difference here. Oh, okay, electronic. Well, I'll be honest. I did only glance at what you guys say, so I do apologize. And you know what, I was prejudging. But yes, if electronic, if that's a good ambassador, that's a great ambassador. And our own ambassador program right now, which is of course, you know, managed by Trigger and Pega and Whisper and I guess the other two guys don't want to be named, but like, okay, Zonic, you guys know Zonic. But anyways, that's also hinging on the Learn PyreSwap, because the concept chain, I think, is really, really important that it's taught. And anyways, considering that this marketing project ended up kind of requiring a story to be told in the first place, it only made sense that story became like official project lore. And because it became official project lore, I was high effort about it, okay? Because I'm not going to write like low quality project lore. Do you guys know what I mean? And then use it as a funnel, which I intend to drive 100,000 people through, right? I'm not joking about that number either. Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna put such high effort on these videos for us to get anything less than 100,000 views. on these videos is an abomination. Yeah, I will not rest. Yeah. But to be honest, this site being the way it is will also help other people. Like, let's put it this way. There's all these alpha groups in crypto, right? There's just like millions of them, arguably, right? And it's really like friends groups where they talk about like, hey, what do you guys think about this project? I remember I was in these like WhatsApps and texts, and it's like, as soon as people don't know something or as soon as they see something is cool, they immediately field it to like 11 other guys. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Yes? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? You guys are probably in one right now. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, the point being here is that, Odin, thank you. The point being here is that Learn PYRESWAP also allows us so that when we get brought up in a fucking alpha group where everyone's kind of like, do you know what I mean? Where they have like a cross-armed approach and like they're all kind of like trying to shill their own position to their closest friends. Arguably, these groups are kind of detestable, but I'm not going to complain. Having that site, which is again like the whole intro to the project, every single thing about marketing gets solved with this fucking project, and I guess all I can say is just that again and again and again. I hope that I've demonstrated enough of those theoretics to you guys, right? The blueprinting of it. The guy inside the Senorita Circus who works in marketing also agrees that we are now on the right track, whereas before it was kind of like, metaphorically speaking, throwing spaghetti at the wall. But that was sort of like a paradigm shift that I had to kind of go through. And all it took was reading a dozen books or so. But anyways, do you guys have any other questions? Because all of you guys are waiting on me to finish this project. So I felt that yesterday was important for us to go a little bit extra long to kind of like reheat the set here. But if it's all the same to you guys, I can get back to work and we can make these live streams like 15 minutes long. Do you guys know what I mean? That way you guys at least get some sort of movement today. Okay. Do you guys want to know about the stuff that was written today? Do you guys want me to spoil the plot? You guys want to talk about that? Yes? Okay. So Fexer, in Act 3, first of all, has anybody here played a video game called Disco Elysium? CJ? I knew CJ would have played it. Yeah, I would imagine that's CJ's top 5. Okay. Well, anyways, Disco Elysium is like it's a parody of, I guess you could say like everything. I don't know. Like it's a parody of like all tropes. It is funny as fuck. It's almost like a comedy game, and there's a character in this game called Evrart Claire, and Evrart Claire is like this bureaucrat, and he's like a union boss too, and the main character of this game is like solving a murder, but it's just this incredibly cartoonish city you're in, and he's my favorite character in that game, by the way. Yeah, Evrart Claire is just the perfection. Like as far as like a fictional character goes, yeah. Like the way that he just like patronizes you right to your face. Yeah, like just there was but most importantly, CJ, are you also old enough that you know of a character named Austin Powers? I think Austin Powers came out when your dad and your mom were probably still in grade school. Yeah. Well, you're also British, so I guess that makes sense. But the point being, yeah, for sure. And it's not like the funniest shit in the world, but the point being is the character Austin Powers. Because Austin Powers, of course, being like the international man of mystery, and he's more of like a parody on like James Bond or whatever. But if you can imagine like Austin Powers and Evrart Claire like combined into the same character. And this character, by the way, is named Flexington Smoothwell. Okay, that's a spoiler alert for the day. Okay, this is the perfect name. I can't ask for a better name for a character other than Flexington Smoothwell. And Flexington Smoothwell is he's a secretary. He's like a deputy assistant secretary. Like he's a gatekeeper character, right? So Fergus, who's our protagonist, he's meant to go see this Lord Mayor of a city called Welvaport, right? But he doesn't have an appointment, right? So while he doesn't have an appointment, he's in this like extremely luxurious lobby, if that makes sense. So imagine like white marble, white marble, like just everything is just glamorous as shit. And he's just dealing with a secretary who, like, this secretary is meant to kind of be a persona of like the economic climate of that city. So if you can understand, he's part Everard Clare, but also part Austin Powers. So he implies he's extremely pleasant all the time. He's like so pleasant, like he's just so happy to see you. He's always sure that he can work something out, but then he always implies that he needs some type of bribe. And he also he's also aggressively flirtatious to anybody or anything he's talking to. He also just winks all the fucking time, if that makes sense. He kind of adds to the surrealism of this particular scene. But yeah, so Fergus needs to get past Flexington Smoothwell in order to see the actual guy he's meant to go see, if that makes sense. And if you don't know who Everard Clare is, maybe only CJ knows this reference. You can watch a YouTube video if you want on Everard Clare, if you care to. But if you can imagine maybe Austin Powers with... oh, maybe Ted Cruz? No, that's not... Okay, I can't think of like a politician or a fictional character. Isn't Ted Lasso more like Forrest Gumpish though? Or like he's just like really upbeat? He's not Ted Lasso. No. Think about somebody who's just like incredibly fuck, man. Okay. I don't know if I've seen that version of Penguin. Okay, so if you can just imagine a person who is like extremely diplomatic, but then also implies that they're kind of corrupt and they're looking for a bribe too, right? And they're like, I'm extremely your friend, but then also like I'm kind of aggressive about what I'm suggesting you get me. Does that make sense? So if you can imagine somebody who also... imagine somebody who's like you work with and they just aggressively sexually harass everybody, but they're always winking, so they kind of always stay on the ambiguity side, like, oh, is he just joking or is he actually sexually harassing me? I don't know if you can imagine this character. Anyways, Flexington Smoothwell is this character, and yeah, believe it or not, I'm very proud to let you guys know that he will be part of the Fergus Enbrook storyline. And what's great is that there isn't any other character even remotely like this. So, yeah, I think that we can add a character like this to fantasy fiction. I don't think I've had one like I can't think. Oh, Alice in Wonderland. Hang on. Okay, the Mad Hatter. Hang on. Fuck. I don't remember all of the characters in Alice in Wonderland, but maybe a little bit like the Mad Hatter, or maybe a little bit like damn. Maybe, yeah. Maybe a little like Willy Wonka, yeah. Not Willy Wonka has like, I would imagine, well, actually Willy Wonka does have a little corruption about him, doesn't he? Yeah, like he's always brushing shit under the rug though. Yeah, like, oh hey, that kid just, you know, possibly got injured and or killed at my factory. I guess we'll have a bunch of my orange colored labor force brush that under the rug. Shit, fuck. But I do appreciate the Roald Dahl. Fuck. Anyways, okay. If you guys care, imagine Everard Clare with a little bit of Austin Powers. That's how Flexington Smoothwell's personality is. Also, like, yeah, just I don't know how else to describe that. Yeah, he's a gatekeeper though too. So he's not. Everard Claire is also like in charge, and Austin Powers isn't necessarily like a deputy either. But if you can imagine that a gatekeeper would be very much like. Yeah, you guys get it. Maybe you don't. Yeah, I fail to have a parallel other than the fact that he is Austin Powers and Everard Clark in this like patronizing way that like reassures you all the time, super diplomatic, but then also implies that you need to trade some type of favor to get past him. Yeah. Damn, I fucking love this. I will admit that some parts of the writing are enjoyable. Yeah. Sometimes it's grueling. But some parts are enjoyable. Anyways, I'm just glad I got to leak the Fleckington Smoothwell character today. I learned recently that on Kickstarter campaigns, sometimes like with like fiction or books or whatever, or with games, they like leak a character as like a milestone. So yeah, I guess this does matter. I think that once we have the first 4 acts made, I think people will care a lot more too. They're like, oh shit, yeah, because they'll have a little bit more of a buy-in to the world and the plot. Anyways, yeah. Other than that, I don't really have anything else to talk about other than the fact that I continue to wake up at 2 a.m. and write. Well, I guess I'm almost done writing fantasy fiction, but yeah, I continue to wake up at 2 a.m. and work on this project like an absolute crazy person. Because that's what it takes. Yeah. It blows my mind that this is like the evolution of it. Oh, do you guys want to notice something? This is something about storytelling. Have you guys ever heard of a sporting event called the Super Bowl? Did I talk about this yesterday? Okay. Have you guys heard of the Super Bowl? I might have said this yesterday. Anyways, so I'm really glad that one or two of you have heard of it. That really helps me. Very high quality indeed. So I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there was already a conflict with the two teams, right? So you have the Chiefs and the Eagles, but then after the game, like nobody cares. Does that make sense? Like the season is over. These are all just sportsmen, right? These are all just athletes. So the tension is built up by the conflict, right? As people focus in on this. But then once it's over, it's over. Do you guys know what I mean? And I want you guys to know that it's not the fucking game that people even care about for the Super Bowl. Do you guys know what the great American tradition of the Super Bowl is? It's watching advertisements. Are you guys aware of this? Super Bowl advertisements are considered the absolute top shelf, right? They redefine the industry every year they happen. Oh, I know, yeah. Yeah. Anyways, brands like Budweiser have been, I guess you could say, I don't know, staples of the American household due to their little effort on Super Bowl Sunday, and random ones like Planters Peanuts and things like that. Anyways, not a fucking big deal. This year is a bit different because I remember a survey a long time ago where people would say the number one reason you watch is the ads, number 2 is the actual game, and then number 3 is the halftime show. Did you guys know they debuted a jetpack in the 1960s at a Super Bowl show? At a halftime show. This was during the space race, right? During the Cold War. So like they were flexing American like technology. So there was literally these two guys with these little hovercraft jetpacks flying across the field. You can look it up. You can look up a Super Bowl halftime show jetpack. If you Google that, you'll fucking see it. Nothing impressive at the time, but I guess, I don't know. It never got brought to market, so I'm still kind of upset. Anyways, this particular Super Bowl, everybody is talking about the halftime show. Does that make sense? Nobody used to give a fuck about the halftime show. Like, they would have to do shit like Janet Jackson would have to have like a fake wardrobe malfunction. By the way, do you guys know? Yeah, 2004. Yeah, that's how fucking old it is. 21 years and people are still talking about a Super Bowl nip slip. It's immortalized in the culture of Super Bowl. It's like, is somebody's nipple going to get shown? It is, again, 21 years. This is now, that's the majority of my lifetime. The biggest sporting event in the world is now associated forever with a nipple being shown on live television. Yeah, like that's the world I live in, you know? CJ, you know what? I want... Yeah, anyways, imagine all the nipples. That's what I'm talking about. Anyways, the point being here is that what am I talking about? I'm talking about human beings and their absolute crackhead level of addiction to storylines. That's what I'm talking about. Why? Because this particular Super Bowl halftime show, do you guys know what the fucking plot line was about? Do you guys know that this halftime show had a backstory? Are you guys aware? I know you guys are aware. I know you guys are aware. I know you guys couldn't possibly have used the internet in the last 72 hours without this backstory getting shoveled down your fucking eye sockets. Do not lie to me and tell me you aren't aware of this backstory. It is in fact not Taylor Swift in this particular instance. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Correct, Mr. Producer. But you're right, Taylor Swift being there is also like a weird plot point. But yeah, anyways, Indeed. I didn't even watch it. Like I'm like, you know, Fergus. You know what I mean? Like I'm like I was waiting to see if like there was any good ad to watch, and it was like, yeah, exactly. Do you know that dance syncs up perfectly to lots of good stuff? Let's put it that way. That was a good time as well on the internet. Anyways. The backstory of this halftime show is just like pissed all over the fucking internet. Does that make sense? And you guys get it? Because for the first time ever, the halftime show had a stronger plot line than the ads and the game. Does that make sense? The halftime show is the storyline leader. Are you guys paying attention? The halftime show has always been the bronze medalist in this contest. This is the first year where the halftime show is the gold medalist. And who the fuck cares? I'm being honest. Because every single ad is like a small subplot. Do you guys get what I'm saying? I haven't heard people say shit about these ads. Right? But you guys understand what I'm saying? The halftime show, because it has so much storyline to it, that's the part that everybody is just like, Kendrick. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Anyways, all I'm talking about here is I'm just highlighting the whole argument that I'm making about storylines being as compelling as they are to the human psyche. That's all I'm getting at. Do you guys understand what I'm saying here? The halftime show having so much backstory is why it's like, yeah, for whatever reason, it just, you know, I have not clicked on a single fucking link about this, and it's still like, I can't like check my email without Proton. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah. Yeah, for sure. That definitely adds to it. And of course, that guy, Mr. Trump, is definitely a master of storytelling in his own regard. Yeah, was it? Yeah, like there's so many fucking like side plots, and there's now fantasy fiction about the Super Bowl halftime show. It might be true. I have no fucking idea. But that right there is, yeah, that right there is fucking the argument. I'm just saying that, like, hey, think about it. Like, it is because the storyline of this halftime show has so much other shit going in it. It implies Drake is a pedophile too, which is like an extremely emotive accusation. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So like the level of emotion in the halftime show and just, yeah, I don't know, like the level of wow. Anyways, yeah, that's all I'm illustrating. That hey, people have not given a fuck about the halftime show since Janet Jackson's nipple came out. I'm not even joking. Do you guys know what I mean? Like, I remember seeing, let's see. Yeah, The Weeknd was in that weird gold fucking hallway. That's the only one I can remember in the last 20 years besides Janet Jackson. Yep, there was The Weeknd, right? He was in that like golden hallway. Oh yeah, CJ, because again, that just gets reduced to numbers. Yeah. Yeah, that's like, okay, team one, team two, number one, number two. I understand that, yeah. Yeah, it matters like there if you have like some sort of investment. Oh no, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And also, CJ, if you don't watch the sport, it's like that's to me, it's like you could make up a fucking an FC in the UK. Like you could make up a fucking FC name right now, and I would have no bearing on whether that's a real team. Do you know what I mean? Be like, well, yeah, right. Yeah, the Falkland Islanders. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, we have one of those here. Matthew McConaughey is an owner of it, in theory. I'm not, whatever. It's literally only named that too, Austin FC. You know, it doesn't have a cool name like Manchester United or Arsenal, right? Or that's like what, all three of them that I know? Yeah. Anyways. But yeah, that's exactly the point. Like, yeah, you like a musician, it's like, oh hey, this is a creative talent that continues producing, as opposed to a sports team which their roster changes every year, etc., etc. Like, anyways, okay. Do you guys have any other questions? Other than that, it's just it's back to being a fantasy fiction author over here. But I think the fantasy fiction part is kind of almost done, at least for the writing, which is almost bittersweet. But there'll be more to write in the future for sure. I think people will demand more of this. Once you guys see what a good job I did. Anyways, no more questions? As soon as possible, CJ. I appreciate. I deserve that every time. Like anytime I'm like, does anyone have any questions? And it's just like, yeah. When? Yeah. Excellent. Hell yeah. Tonight, you. Aqua Teen Hunger Force, man. And there's some fucking characters. I should write those guys into fucking this world. Like Master Shake as a fucking fantasy fiction character. More on that later. Yeah, tonight, you. All right. Anyways, if there's no more questions, we'll see you guys tomorrow on the fucking PYRESWAP show. You guys excited? Fantastic. We're all going to make it. Yeah. I hope you guys at least understood my argument about the power of storylines as it relates to the Super Bowl. Okay? Yeah, like clearly, like, I don't know if you guys know this, but it's the amount of spin-off conversation continues to be storyline based only because the halftime show literally had 7 months of backstory, which is, again, a first. But yeah. And kind of implies a rerun, too. Like, people enjoy revisiting a storyline. Do you guys know what I mean? Because, like, nothing new actually happened. It was just like, hey, by the way, do you guys know what I mean? Like people will fucking watch the same story again. Do you guys know what I mean? Like if it has that same level of tension, like it you know, opens the wound one more time. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.